Today's reading is another one that does not appear in the three-year lectionary, not even its parallel story in Matthew. And it's too bad, because it is mighty revealing. Hello, I'm Stuart Paskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Thursday, February 5th, 2026. On Tuesday this week, we read the story of the feeding of the 4,000. And yesterday, we read about the encounter between Jesus and the Pharisees who asked him for a sign, as if the feeding of the 4,000 wasn't sign enough. Today's reading is the very next story. It takes place after Jesus has gotten back in a boat with the disciples following his encounter with the Pharisees. Keep the feeding of the 4,000 in mind as you listen to this story. Now, the disciples had forgotten to bring any bread, and they had only one loaf with them in the boat. And he cautioned them, saying, "Watch out! Beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod." They said to one another, "It is because we have no bread." And becoming aware of it, Jesus said to them, "Why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not perceive or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? And do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect?" They said to him, 12. "And the 7 for the 4,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect then?" They said to him, 7. Then he said to them, "Do you not yet understand?" Wow. Sometimes that's all you can say. Wow. It is difficult for us to fathom what was going through the disciples' minds. Hadn't they just witnessed the feeding of the 4,000? Didn't they know? Did they not understand? Well, maybe we're being a little hard on them. In fact, we would probably have done and said the very same thing, because it's not about the bread. At one level, sure, Jesus could have multiplied one little loaf to feed all the disciples in the boat, but that's not really the point. In fact, they're doing almost exactly what the Pharisees had done. They want him to perform another miracle, but this time just for them. How exciting that would be! But Jesus wasn't about performing signs on demand, and he wasn't about performing signs to satisfy anyone's curiosity. The sign of the feeding of both the 5,000 and the 4,000 weren't really about bread and fish, but about God's abundance. The yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod that Jesus warned against here was about the danger of cynically reducing Jesus to a glorified magician, of focusing on the magic rather than on the underlying message of the kingdom of God. So both the Pharisees and the disciples have misunderstood what Jesus was doing. They both still misunderstood who he was. Even when he talked the disciples through the twin miracles, he still had to ask, "Do you not yet understand?" Like I say, maybe we're a little hard on the disciples. Maybe we don't always fully understand Jesus either. We look for him to be our friend. We look for him to affirm us in our beliefs and secretly even in our biases. We look for him to answer our prayers by giving us what we want. In short, we look for him to focus on us, when what he's really trying to do is to get us to focus on the kingdom. To quote Rick Warren's opening sentence in his Purpose-Driven Life, "It's not about you, it's about the kingdom." A kingdom defined not by turning inward, not by circling the wagons, and not by excluding those we don't like. The kingdom is about radical abundance. It's about radical inclusion. It's about opening our hearts to serve a world in need. Is that really so hard to understand? Now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.